Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and Skyweavers, to a 6 detachment review. And this is quite exciting. If you're down to clown, then it's good news all round because we have got Serpent's Brood, which appears to be a Harlequins Sadath themed detachment. Ben, Chris, how are we feeling about this news?
Oh wow! I mean, Gambit Gaming Harlequins T-shirt
Oh, have you
straight
got one?
on.
That's sick. There
Boss.
you go.
There we go. Yeah, we're cooking, boys. It's been a while. Um,
It has.
it's I was someone who probably played around 10 games of the current detachment
Yeah.
across RTTs and practice games, and not had the most fun, let's say, compared to ninth. I never played them in ninth when they first came out, but I played them when they were very strong, and I had a
Oh,
lot
yes,
of
as did
fun.
I.
And I would say that it actually heavily formed how I played 40k,
Yeah.
that sort of style of army. So much so that I can't get away from it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a sad time. I have tried with them this past year, and it's just not been a good time. So I'm very excited to have some new stuff to try.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ghost of the Webway is one of those attachments that doesn't quite deliver the Harlequins feel and experience.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of iconic Harlequins units have been on the bench. And with any luck, fingers crossed, as we'll get into, this brings at least a few of them back as well. So we've also got Harlequins main Ben, who was a Harlequins main, I think,
Hello.
when first I ever knew of him.
Yep.
How are you feeling about Serpent's Brood, Ben?
It's nice to have another set of rules for Harlequins that maybe are playable. I guess we'll find out when we read through it, but it's an exciting time. Again, like much like Chris, like I played them for most of ninth. I put them away at the start of 10th because they had no rules, and it forced me to play broken Wraith Knights. So
Yeah,
Games Workshop,
you
that's
did what
what
you
their
had to do
fault.
to
I
survive.
did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But I am excited with potential here to potentially get some of these clowns back on the table.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm personally excited because, as you'll see in the spiel for the detachment, this references the cosmic serpent, which you'll remember I dropped in as one of our
Yeah,
questions.
so you
In,
did.
I think maybe our Christmas quiz at some point, or some quiz or another. That it was people did not get it, but it's very cool to see the cosmic serpent and its children out and about. Which obviously to long-time fans of the Harlequins, you'll know that points us in a soaring spite or light Sadath direction, depending what generation of Harlequin player you are, which means it's going to be boat spikes and going fast. So let's have a look at this. We will endeavour to unpack our initial thoughts on it and shout out different combinations and ideas as they appear. First off, we've got detachment rule, Boons of the Brood. Your Harlequins mounted, your Harlequin vehicles get sustained hits, and disembarking Harlequin units get sustained hits, which again goes on shooting and melee until the end of the turn, getting out of a transport. And we've got the caveat of you can have troops with OC2 here with Battle Line, and you can include up to 3 of each of the following models in your army: Death Tester, Shadow Seer, Troop Master. So, what do we think of the detachment rule, boys?
+1 to hit, right? Is kind of how it affects.
More or less.
Works, yeah.
Absolutely.
So can't really complain. Obviously, if we think about why Harlequins are weak, currently they're not tricksy, they're not survivable, and they don't have much output. They don't really do anything. So this is
They're
obviously
pretty.
they look beautiful as they die, and they prod you, but this is the goal of right. Let's see if we can make this detachment a bit more killy. And yeah, so mounted and vehicles, that's shooting. You say shooting and combat. So although we're not that scared of a Void Weaver in combat, actually a Sky Weaver charging, they've got combat options. That could be potentially something as well. And then obviously the shooting across the board. Does it finally make Void Weavers viable? I'm sure Ben has an opinion on that.
Yes.
But obviously the getting out of transports is nice, and I think it should be important to know that this isn't out of Harlequin transports, this is out of normal transports.
Yes.
So therefore it can be out of Falcons.
So Falcons and Wave Serpents. Falcons obviously nice combos with reroll wounds on this as well. If the Falcon's shooting the same thing, and obviously the Wave Serpent just means you can have a bigger unit of Harlequins to get these buffs on. Right. And I think between the sustained in shooting and melee, you will actually really feel that on a Harlequin unit going into something. Actually, I think that's going to add up pretty aggressively,
Yep.
as long as they have decent to wound into the target I think as a general rule, that's how I see it. I think into chaffier things, suddenly Harlequin troops shooting is actually quite real before they connect, and the same with things like the fusion pistols. Just go that little bit further into marine bodies and stuff like that as well. So I think this is nice. I think the sustained from the disembark, if there's any sort of power that I'm not fully gauging yet, I think that's where it'll be in terms of just the overall add up of output. But obviously, making the vehicles and the mounted nice. I mean, your Star Weavers essentially have a bunch of lethal and sustained shooting now, right? Which is pretty nice. And they'll just need some friend to strip cover for them so that they can do damage. But that's a different related issue. But certainly not at all bad as a detachment rule. That's pretty cool. And obviously, OC2 troops is great. And the special characters getting more of those in, particularly the Troop Master is great as well. So moving into the enhancements, we have Key of Ghosts, which gives you a Harlequins model excluding Solitaire. Bearers in the models in the Bearers unit have Scout 6.
It's good. It's just good, right? Scout and Star Weaver, right?
That's great. We've seen in Reaper's Wager that can be really good.
It works. It does a job.
And this is going to have a bit more potency between the sustained getting out of the boat and also another stratagem in here. You can have quite a nice, juicy scouting Star Weaver. Go and kill some stuff early doors, clear a bit of space for yourself, keep the opponent honest. So that's very nice. We've got Weaver's Wail, which is a Troop Master getting +3 strength and +1 attacks. The cowards couldn't go for damage, could they? They didn't want to add a damage on. Didn't want to add a damage on.
He's the only source apart from Solitaire of damage too, right?
Yes.
So, and what is he at the moment? Like 5-6 attacks. Let's have a quick look.
5 at 5/2/2 or 6 at 4/2/2, depending on whether you go his blade or the
So I mean, I think put him with like a 5-man, and you're now killing that 5-man Space Marine unit quite probably a bit more consistently now. But I mean, it will depend on how points kind of work out.
I hope this is a 10-pointer. I'd be surprised.
Exactly.
I actually read this as +3 attacks, and
so did I. I was like, oh,
and I was like, that was spicy. Now I'm now disappointed.
+1 strength would have been way better.
Yeah. I mean, he can wound Victrix on 2 still with a troop unit.
Do you remember that sword he had where he got more attacks as the game went on?
As the game went on, was that Twilight? Was it?
Twilight Fang, maybe. I forget. There was the storied sword as well. Good times. Anyway, Weaver's Wail is certainly a melee enhancement that will make a Troop Master a bit more dangerous. So Chris's Troop Master is coming back out, which is great. Troop Master for me is a guy that always disappointed, but maybe this one will do differently. We've got the Fanged Leer. This is a Death Jester. When using Cruel Amusement, you can pick 2 abilities for his cannon to gain instead of 1. Super Death Jester, anyone?
He's just not though, is he? Like,
he's not very good.
I fired this guy so many times, and back in the day when you had dev wounds and you could flip dice to 6 and all that sort of thing, fine. But
he was so good.
These days, I'm just like, yes, he is your only source realistically of low knock, but he's so expensive. He's so expensive with enhancement for actually probably not doing that much stuff over the course of a game. I don't know whether... I mean, I could see the case for 1 with this and trying it out. I would personally be surprised if he turned out to be a consistent part of a Harlequins list.
Yeah, it doesn't feel needed.
You can get a lot of other useful stuff for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally, we have Shedskin Raiment, which is a nice, good old 3 Harlequin redeploy, including Strat Reserves for a Shadow Seer. I used to enjoy doing stuff with Harlequins involving redeploys when they had loads of CP and you could do cool stuff, and the bamboozlement felt a lot more novel then. Has to be said that in deploying on 40k boards these days, it feels like all you can possibly do is put them somewhere worse or in reserves once you've actually put stuff on the board, or correct your own mistakes. So not necessarily something I rush to put in. But if you're taking a Shadow Seer brick, you could also redeploy your scouting boat, which is fun. Go and hit somewhere else with it. So there's options.
But it involves you taking a Shadow Seer.
Yes.
And I'm not sold on
the Shadow Seer brick is very funny into orcs, but it's not. Jack Knight got done by the Shadow Seer brick when Liam Viersel was playing them. So it does have certain armies it's fun into, but it's not.
Maybe it's the team's pick.
Yeah, it's a team's weapon, right? Okay, so let's go over to the stratagems, and this is where it starts to get a bit more exciting, right? You've got your juiced up troop master. What have we actually taken from up here? We've probably taken the troop master, we've probably taken the scout boat. So we've got some stuff. We've picked up some enhancements we quite like. Now we have Fangs of the Brood, 1 CP. Give a troop unit all the abilities for your unit instead of 1. What are said abilities?
Reroll ones to hit.
Yep.
+1 to wound.
Yep.
That's not on the charge either. That's not lance. That is just +1 to wound.
Yep.
And be -1 to hit in return.
That is not bad.
Not a bad sweet, is it?
That's a very nice set of things. In a clutch moment, that's going to give you that bit of extra juice, bit of extra survivability.
A lot of value on a brick as well,
yes.
because you're feeling a lot more likely to like survive a punchback as well with the -1 tick. You never really would pick the -1 tick, and if you did, it then meant that your punching was anemic as soon as you don't have the +1 to wound.
Yeah, for sure.
So the fact that now maybe on a brick or two, you can select that at key point could be great.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the troop master really likes it. Troop master in the unit punches up really nicely with it. So it's just good. Yeah, just outright good. I think that's a great strat. You're unlocking multiple buffs at once for 1 CP. Really, really nice. And I suspect players will use this quite a bit. You have Venomous Wrath next. This is a shooting phase vehicle that has shot, can then make a normal move of up to 6, cannot charge. Thoughts on this?
Fine. It's fine on Void Weavers. That 18-inch low knob that we all said was rubbish because you have to get too close.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he doesn't have to do now? Stay too close.
That's true.
I mean,
oh man, he's still not going to kill anything, but hey, who doesn't have to spend 1 CP to move 1 Void Weaver?
Imagine if there were units of 3.
I think if it was on maybe 3 Void Weavers, that'd be very tasty. If it was on a unit of bikes, that'd be very tasty. I mean, in a pinch, it's nice to have this in your back pocket. But when we obviously look at the other stratagems, what we'll see is that there are quite a few useful, tricksy stratagems here that apply to the janky play. And as such, this stratagem I don't think will be used because A, its target isn't great, / probably not in your list. And B, you've got just better opportunity costs elsewhere. So I suspect sometimes you'll be like, what a useful stratagem. But a lot of the time you won't be using this.
Yeah, absolutely. In my head, and this tells you something about the state of modern Harlequins, this helps your Star Weaver catch up with the troop that are trying to get back in it.
Yeah, that's the first thing I said on our
because your Star Weaver's had to go around a building and it's had to use all of its movement to get even anywhere near the objective that this troop is fighting on. Yeah. But now it can fire and fade and just hop onto the objective ready to be re-embarked into. And that is exactly how I see myself using this and not in many other ways. But really good for that. Exactly, specifically that. Striking Stride, Harlequins unit gets advance and charge. They're pretty quick once you add this on.
Yep.
Finally.
Flip belts, disembarking, battle focus, advance and charge. They do start to get speedy here.
Speedy boys. It's just, I mean, what detachment doesn't want advance and charge, right? Every detachment loves advance and charge in the game, right? So, it's just always a great thing to have.
Works on the bikes.
I just spotted that, yeah. Can't shoot, but
works on everything.
Mm-hmm. So definitely going to be useful, and troops will love it.
Yes.
Just very good. Weaver's Coils next. This is a really cool one. End of fight phase. Harlequin's mounted unit that was eligible to fight can make a normal move if it's not in engagement range or otherwise fall back up to 6. The bikes have OC2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Moving some OC around is always good. Getting out of a combat is always good. And obviously the potential to have killed something and then just outright run away.
I think this stratagem is, for me, one of the main ones that makes bikes viable. Mm-hmm. We obviously mainly play on UKTC terrain, and trying to move those big bases around is an absolute nightmare. And you might think, I moved 14 or 16 with a token or whatever. That should be enough. It genuinely isn't if you've hidden yourself or had to try and hide yourself properly. Yeah. So the fact that now we can try and get into places, and then this is your kind of like if you've managed to get it to charge in and something else kill the unit and then you can run away.
Yeah.
Or if you've gone for the combat weapons, you can just punch it yourself, right? I think that then.
And Zephyr Glaives are definitely tempting here. We had a look at them before the show, right? They're definitely, 4 attacks, 622 is not at all bad as a profile.
It's hitting on twos, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely volume coming out of a 4 brick for bullying. It's a bully unit. It's not really a heavy hitting unit, but it certainly can do that. I think, again, for me, I'm visualizing this and I'm feeling it's almost like an overrun for Tyranids where you're going to either scurry backwards, but actually I think a lot of the time for me, I feel like I'd be scurrying off into a corner in their lines somewhere and being a real pain in the arse and then ending up somewhere to the sides up on the edge where I'm harder to interact with.
Block as well.
Exactly. Move block options are really good with it as well. So I think this one will get a lot of use. I think it's very nice. And it does give you some incentive to maybe look at the melee bikes again, which is cool because those have been much maligned of late. Then we have Weaving Stride, just good old reactive move for Harlequins infantry, which will also work on a solitaire of flat 6. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. I mean, it's quite good, right? Because you can use the battle focus token, fall back from a solitaire. He moves, something else then moves, triggers his reactive. He's just going to get right out of there.
Yes.
And have his lone op just chilling and be like, you actually can't interact with me now.
There's a lot of additional movement here. A lot of little traps for people to fall into.
Kind of double reactive move to fullbacks kind of thing, doesn't it, as well? Because you can play them in 2 different spots as well, which is really
multiple triggers to potentially get back into transports and things like that.
Yes, right? Exactly. So that's because like your big brick of Harlequins, for example, and you've gone and you've tagged stuff and they fall back and you D6 reactive move and or with the token, and then you someone moves within 9, so they want to charge you, then you get to just hop back into your Wave Serpent, which is behind the wall, which is unkillable. We know Wave Serpents. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, really good. I think that's very nice. Another very popular one. Lots of CP that you're going to want to use here, which is why I don't know if we've mentioned Eldrad yet on the stream, but we certainly think Eldrad feels pretty good here just to let you keep these all coming across the game. And it does have that go turny feel where you're not going to be able to go with all of this juice all the time, so you want to take your moment when you can get the most out of it all. And finally, Skyward Lunge. End of your opponent's fight phase, a vehicle or mounted unit can go up in the sky. This is nice on bikes, especially, I think.
I think it makes them playable, right? As we were just in like UKTC terrain, specifically with mounted units, really rough. This makes it slightly less rough, I think.
Yeah, I think being able to sort of pick off things on angles and then get back up and go and pick off something else again. If you're careful with your bike unit, you can get more value out of it that way, which is nice. And it does give you fresh angles of attack to sneak in behind people late game as well.
Yeah, 100%.
So into sort of artillery matchups, a Void Weaver perhaps, Ben, on your backfield, just on the line, and he can redeploy later on if you want.
I was just going to say, just I had a thought. I don't know if you can double based on the stratagem thought. I suddenly thought you might not be able to double normal move in a turn. I think
they've now the same unit.
You can't do that, but
I think you're right.
You could reactive move and then someone shoot you, and then you could use the trigger of the token for being shot at to then move because they'd be different phases. So and delete the comments that you just wrote. Thank you.
You're certainly getting multiple moves in your opponent's turn there, which is nice. It's just that they won't all be able to be in the same place.
Yes.
If you've jammed lots of stuff, there's lots of scope for that to go wrong for them, and obviously with the higher OC on things like troops in here, it's more annoying for them if some OC2 starts running about in places they don't want it, etc. So that's an interesting thing. What do we think of the detachment overall, gents? What's your overall impression?
On them.
It's very tricksy, isn't it? It's gonna do a lot of movement shenanigans. There's a nice, obvious damage increase here. Will it be overly relevant? I don't know, but it will feel better playing it. I think you will kill slightly more stuff. Particularly the first stratagem with the pick all 3 abilities, as we say, on a brick of troop with a troop master, for example. You then got the reroll ones with +1 to wound and sustained across the board as well. If you've got out of a transport, so pack that Wave Serpent, please. I think you're probably going to do a slightly more damage here, but it feels wholly playable and interesting. So I think from a pure Harlequins point of view, it's better than anything else we've got right now.
That's it.
Yeah, right. I think that's right. I think that's very fair. I think I'd have probably liked a go through walls. I know that's being greedy, but I think the transports and the bikes both would really benefit in here from just go through terrain. I think that complicates a lot of what you're trying to do here, and it sounds a lot more powerful than it actually is once you realize the distances you're actually employing and gaining. It's with the units that this is intended to work with. But the overall boost in output is definitely very welcome, and the tricks are definitely very, very welcome. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this slots. We've certainly, you guys have been cooking pure Harlequins list. I'm definitely thinking Phoenix Lords and Harlequins will be where I look for this, for Phoenix Lords to provide all the things that Harlequins don't have.
It's tough, isn't it? Because you think about points, right? 5 Harlequins and a Starweaver is like 165 points.
It's a lot of points.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of points.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the list I built had, I think it's 5x5, and then an 11 brick, and then a couple of Troop Masters, a Wave Serpent, and then 442 of Skyweavers. And it's hard because if you're not really a tabling army, and you don't have the ability to get where you want, because as you say, you can't move through walls, and that was the thing when the old days with Harlequins, you could just go, here's six Starweavers moving in this little brick and pew 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 pew, like you're dead, but you can't do that because you spent most of your move trying to get around the terrain, and so they've lost that element. So obviously, we know that if Harlequins get it right, it's going to be kind of a hit you all at once in lots of places, jump back in the boats. Cool, you can't now demech me well enough, and then I'm going to do it again. And I remember one game I managed to pull it off, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like a god. But a lot of the time, it kind of didn't work. So I think this is going to be a very high. You're going to have to be very good to play this detachment well.
Yes.
I think it'd be a shame, but I think realistically, I mean, obviously, in terms of extra Eldar stuff, as you were saying, with the Phoenix Lords, someone like Lycus who gives crit 5s, that's obviously going to be.
Yeah, Lycus and Eldrad is good. Ultimately, a fights first that isn't a solitaire is good, so Janzar is good. I think things like Baharoth are quite interesting in a detachment like this, because what Harleys do have is a lot of dev wounds, right? So Baharoth brings additional relocation and mortal wounds, and I think you can probably do some combos with that. That'd be quite fun. But it's just figuring things out. And obviously, the ability to just delete big stuff is something that this is not necessarily packing. I think I need to see. You did kill big stuff when you used it, Chris. I remember
I killed double Gorkanaut in a turn.
Yeah, I remember. So it can do it.
It can do it. Obviously, lethals and Starweavers. Fusion, you just have to roll 5s. Just be good at Warhammer, and go from there. But it fundamentally does have a bit of an issue with that. Obviously, if you pack yourself full of Haywire,
I was going to say it's going to have potential into Haywire, into mech stuff now, because I think the bikers will potentially open that up a little bit.
Teams, do we think? I think singles is going to eventually. I mean, I said to Ben for the shows, it's a bit like the Indiana Jones thing where he's doing all the fancy moves and with the sword fighting, and then Indiana Jones just shoots him, right? And I think sometimes in singles you're just going to run into the thing that just goes, oh, those are some cool tricks. What if I just charge you with 30 Death Company? And that might be a bit of a sad time. Whereas in teams, you can be that army that actually in some matchups, you're going to really piss off your opponent. I can see this being the army where people who maybe aren't as strong a players or taking a certain kind of army, I just be like, this is bullshit. Like, how on earth am I supposed to deal with this? Wherever I shoot you, wherever I go, you just run away and I can't get to you, and then you punch me. This is stupid. And you'll be chuckling away to yourself as your opponent loses their rag. But I think that's kind of the direction. I think it probably leans more into teams, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. But I think people will have fun with this. I think terrain types are actually very relevant for it. I think UKTC isn't as friendly to these sorts of builds. Drukhari have had the same problem. Transports, Venoms just don't love.
You won't be able to get through that plate, don't you?
Not being able to get around things is a real faff, and the distances you actually have to cover to be non-interactable are a bit too high. But it might well thrive more on WTC and on GW terrain, where there are better places for it to fly through and stage and hide and different things. So I think we'll see how it gets on out in the world. I think Eldar players will be excited to give it a go because people love it.
That's the important thing, right? Finally, you've seen it today on Discord across the across the internet,
Lot of
Harlequin players
excitement.
are like, man, this is actually this. I want to try this, and that is
Yeah,
all
100%.
we can ask
Yeah.
for from a Grotmus detachment.
Yeah, and Skyweavers and the boats are the coolest things about Harlequins, really. So
Absolutely.
it's very cool to see those back in action. So, what would you say one must-take unit is for you guys, and what would you say one don't-take unit is for you guys in this detachment?
Well, we've got 8 to pick from.
Yeah. All right, that's why I've not bothered going in depth. We're just going to pick one out.
I'm going to pick the Skyweaver. It's
Yeah.
my favourite unit in the whole game.
It's glorious, right?
I feel like you're probably going to want to try at least one brick in there. I think that'd be that. And a not take. I'm looking at you, the Death Jester. You've tried to tell me he's got a fancy tool. I don't like it. It still looks rubbish. I'm not having him. Thank you very much.
That's fair, Christopher.
Wow, you've left so many options. I think you should definitely immediately try the big brick. And
Yeah, big brick and troop.
see if you like playing a big brick. Commit it turn 3 when you've chipped away with all your little 5 bands and stuff, and now actually your opponent doesn't have the tools to shoot and charge it because it'll just run away and all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So definitely give that a go. Thing not to try. Sorry, Ben, but no Void Weavers for me. I just think even with sustained, it's like 2 shots on the big gun, so like you're getting this
It's not ideal.
once every 3 rounds at some point. And on top of that, it still doesn't do much, even if it does connect. And it's so expensive. It's 125 points at
125.
It is very
time
spendy.
of recording, with no survivability, barring this pointless loan op. And then you're tempted to spend your CP to keep it safe whilst it does nothing. So don't get tempted, guys.
Don't listen to me.
So there we are. I think at some point people are going to start rolling 6s on their fusion pistols and feeling great, so it's fine. But I think that's the way to play this: is just load up on fusion pistols and then roll 6s on your disembark and just kill people. It'd be great. But yeah, that's it for Serpent's Brood. I think it's really exciting. I think there's lots going on here, and we will all certainly be playing it. There are already some mini games afoot in our Heroes of the Plus chat where we're daring people to see how many times they can get the 3 Death Jesters back into one boat across the game. But I wouldn't recommend that to you guys if you go out and play it. Thanks for watching us, guys. We will be back again soon. There's so much more to cover. We'll try and get some reports for the other armies coming out in Grotmus very soon. And do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff as well. And obviously, if you're interested in getting some Eldari or Harlequins coaching, we'd be more than happy to have you links and whatnot in our Discord. That's it from us. We will see you again next time. Bye-bye.